The WNBA is a major cause for concern. Since Caitlin Clark's playoff exit, there has been a noticeable decline in viewership. Fans were glued to their TVs thanks to her incredible performances. But guess what happens now that she's not around? Many have completely given up. 400,000 people had watched the first game. There were 2 million. Before we get too engrossed in the drama, trust me, things are getting crazy. Like and subscribe to the channel to make sure you don't miss a single update. Caitlin Clark's next court appearance is scheduled for 213 days from now. Yes, you read that right, minus 213 days. The WNBA has already felt the impact of her 400% increase in viewership over the previous season, and fans and experts are asking the league to stop watching. It seemed as though the excitement simply packed up and left with her.
The Fever had nearly 2 million viewers tuning in, while all the other games had around 400,000. Even the WNBA Countdown, which was aired before the Indiana Fever game, had more viewers than 2 of the seasons.
Stay still, and we'll show you just how awful things really are. Prepare yourself for a big one. You won't believe how much this rookie altered everything.
Looks like we're not going to be seeing Caitlin Clark play basketball again for another 200 days. An ESPN reporter said at the end of the Indiana Fever Connecticut Sun Game 2 that Caitlin Clark almost definitely will not be playing basketball this offseason. So no overseas and no 3-on-3.
Before you grab the remote and switch to the next sports network show, keep in mind that an increasing number of fans and analysts has said they won't be watching the WNBA. Pat, let's take a moment to honor Caitlin Clark for her exceptional dedication to the league throughout the season. I promise you that her influence goes much beyond simply her superb three-point shooting.
I may not talk about the WNBA again until April.
Well, okay.
Trust me, I'm not going to be watching. I can't.
Fans were taken aback by Caitlin Clark's choice to give up the spotlight, as if they had just witnessed a buzzer beater that won the game. ESPN's Molly Cum and Monica McNutt were similarly shocked and are unsure of the next person to step up. Emerging as the newest star in the NBA, with Clark out of the picture, the league expects a steep drop in attendance this season. We can only predict that the WNBA will have more vacant seats than a yoga class at 9 in the morning.
2023 season, the WNBA had grown by 40% viewership from 2022 to 2023. But with Caitlin Clark's arrival, it's grown by 400% viewership. What that means is if the WNBA were continue to grow at the rate it grew from 22 to 23, it would take until 2028 to do what Caitlin Clark did this.
Caitlin Clark, the Iowa sensation, made a significant impression with her incredible playmaking abilities and outstanding shooting range after finishing her first season in the WNBA. Clark was a rookie who did more than simply light up the floor. He had fans hooked to their TVs and flooding the arena. Before she could even make a three-pointer, she broke attendance and viewership records. The Connecticut Sun's shocking victory over the Indiana Fever cruelly ended her incredible run, leaving many fans devastated and giving them hope for the postseason. Proceed swiftly, as with an overthrown pass.
If Caitlin, in every post-game press conference, she came out and talked about the kind of hateful comments that she was getting. If she came out and told everybody the reason why she has personal security that goes with her every single place, it's a lot. And so it's not just Caitlin Clark fans or Indiana Fever fans. It is not all going in.
Fans appear to be packing up their foam fingers and leaving early now that Clark isn't playing in the postseason. This season, only she was able to bring the temperature down in the league. Top of the attendance list, regardless of whether they were playing in the country or abroad, it almost looks as if people were behind her, much like the well-known basketball star who drew sizable crowds wherever she went.
It is insane. And that's why I have mixed feelings. I'm going to miss Caitlin Clark. Hopefully I don't see her on the basketball court again until April, until next WNBA season. But I'm so glad I don't have to watch the rest of this. I've been so turned off by most of these players in the WNBA.
It was like a rock concert every time Clark was on the court. Only instead of guitars, she was tearing up defenses with long-range bombs and perfect passes. Athletes from all over the country flocked to the stadium to watch her perform live, fascinated by her collective basketball IQ. Her captivating performances made her immediate attraction and propelled the squad to the WNBA's summit. However, it appears as though the league's lead vocalist has departed, and the fans are following as she isn't playing.
Wrong team. She's got the wrong skill set to handle the physicality of that league. And she's a rookie, targeted by society, targeted by her looks, targeted by her reputation, targeted by the disrespect that they've shown to the WNBA. She said, now they're expecting this rookie class to be perfect. This rookie class isn't even one of the best rookie classes in the last 10 years.
The WNBA is seeing a drop in viewership since Clark is no longer in the picture. Weekend games, which are typically the best times to draw crowds, will likely experience a sudden fall that no one saw coming. Fans of Indiana Fever are not the only ones who feel the emptiness. They were largely watching Caitlin Clark, who became a television mainstay in her maiden season in addition to supporting their favorite teams. Her withdrawal has caused the enthusiasm to drain more quickly than a flat drink.
The effect is definitely real. I mean, we can all see that. However, experiencing it in person is totally different. I was at the Fever and Indiana game last night, and the amount of 22s that I saw on the way to the arena and inside the Capital One Arena might as well have just been a home game for Caitlin Clark. Not Indiana, Caitlin Clark. The thing is, that didn't surprise me. But what did surprise me was how packed the...
It's uncommon to witness a rookie have such a big effect on a league, but Caitlin Clark stands out since she garnered attention right away in her WNBA shoes similar to that of an NBA player, bringing comparisons to legends like Stephen Curry and LeBron James. The fact that so many fans left the playoffs without her in her inaugural season shows how important she was to the WNBA. She was a sensation not only in her neighborhood, but also across the league.
Archer, do we think that these new WNBA fans are going to stick around for the rest of the playoffs? The Liberty Aces series might be one that draws some numbers. The disparity between 1.8 million and around 400,000 is wild, especially with football season being
in light of her amazing season, it makes sense that her demanding schedule would have finally caught up to her. Clark went into her freshman season without taking a major break after leading Iowa to the NCAA titles. To use basketball terminology, it was equivalent to seeing someone run a marathon. Just like she was after Black Friday shopping, she was worn out from the playoffs after concluding one marathon and beginning another. Despite everything, she gave a flawless performance that highlighted her spirit and tenacity.
Okay, now let's not talk viewership, let's talk ticket sales. Bear with me. Ticket sales grew in 2023 by 16% from 2022. Ticket sales have grown by 93% in 2024. What that means is without Caitlin Clark, the WNBA would have taken till 2029 or 2030 to get to where Caitlin Clark has gotten.
Clark gave it her best in the Fever's final game versus the Connecticut Sun. She concluded the game with 25 points, 9 assists, and her usual tenacity on the floor. She gave it everything she had, but it was like seeing someone struggle to push a piano up a hill. Despite her incredible efforts, a single basketball player can only do so much because the sport is team-based. The Fever's hopes of advancing farther in the playoffs were ruined by their patchy performance.
For their job. And so they've allowed the Caitlin Clark abuse to go on and on and on while everybody pretends, oh, it's Caitlin Clark's fans. They're on Twitter and they're horrible. They focus on that rather than the real persecution and inappropriate behavior of their very own WNBA.
As if that wasn't enough, Clark also had to deal with some dubious officiating. After multiple fouls were called against her, the fans became perplexed and questioned whether the officials had forgotten how to use their whistles correctly. Even more people conjectured that she might be. Clark officiated differently as a rising star, but she maintained her composure like a seasoned pro and guided her team with unwavering determination. Regretfully, her poise and will were not enough to stop the Suns' incessant play.
Millions and millions and millions of more eyeballs. And with those millions and millions and millions of more eyeballs, unfortunately, is going to come some people.
Caitlin Clark, who has taken on the enormous weight of being a franchise player in her rookie year and played almost as many games as an NBA player this season, has decided to take a well-earned break rather than sign with a European team or play for a smaller squad. In order to rest and rehabilitate physically and mentally during the offseason, she has chosen to compete in smaller tournaments. It's true that after this season, she deserves to unwind, ideally with Netflix and a big tub of ice cream.
A lot of things that this group accomplished that, a lot of people probably didn't think was possible, one, to start the season, and two, after the start we had to the season. So, yeah, it'll definitely be probably a little weird for me over the course of the first couple weeks, and then I'm sure I'll get bored and pick up a basketball again.
The WNBA is being given a reality check by Caitlin Clark's absence. The Women's Basketball League has already seen a noticeable decline in participation since her departure, despite the fact that she brought a lot of new followers and a revitalized enthusiasm for the sport. And it's not just the ardent admirers who are losing interest. In addition, casual viewers who were captivated by Clark's breakout performances are pausing the show. The NBA needed a boost, and her explosive play and enthusiastic personality supplied it. But now that their best player is out on the court, the league needs to find a means to stay relevant.
To grow if it's certain people at the face. And there is still this undertone of jealousy that for some reason I cannot get around calling it anything else but that, because I don't know what else it could be. I thought it was going to get better this season, but it hasn't. There are still people who seemingly, to me, feel like they just don't want Caitlin to.
Caitlin Clark is currently well known in the basketball world, and not just in the United States. Her incredible time as an Iowa Hawkeye and her incredible WNBA rookie season have made her a force to be reckoned with. Beyond simply being a gifted player, Clark has elevated women's basketball to a whole new level, inspiring next players and giving fans something to cheer about after a long absence. However, the WNBA appears a little quieter now that Clark isn't involved. DJ viewership has decreased, highlighting the significance of her star power and contagious passion. To be quite honest, her impact goes much beyond her individual achievements. Rather, it represents a transformation in the way that women's basketball is viewed on a worldwide scale. She's not only making tremendous shots to turn the tide of the game. In addition to being the face of the Indiana Fever, Caitlin Clark is quickly gaining recognition throughout the WNBA due to her explosive play, domineering on-court style, and unwavering commitment to changing the game. Caitlin Clark's impact on the WNBA is coming to an end, as she will not be playing in the playoffs this season. She has the ability to take women's basketball to new heights and represent not just the sport's future. The league assumes they are watching a big-budget movie without the star. She is not only a rising star but also the WNBA's life force, and the league is obviously saddened by the loss of its biggest draw. Without her, the excitement isn't the same. The decline in viewership is indicative of the league's loss of star power. Which person do you think holds the key to the WNBA's future, Caitlin Clark or someone else? Kindly provide us with your opinions by leaving a comment below. Just before you leave, don't forget to like this video. To ensure that you don't miss any next updates, kindly subscribe to the channel. Who knows, maybe before the next season begins, the league will find its next big thing, or perhaps we should hold off till Clark